Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to solve reverse alternating k-element sublist. So given the head of the linked list and the number k, reverse every alternating k-size sublist starting from the head. Right? So if in the end you are left with a sublist with less than k elements, reverse it too. So here is the example input. Right? We have a linked list of size 8, right? The total of 8 nodes, and the k here, which is the size of the sublist, right? So we want to reverse. Alternating k size sublist, right? It means here is what we want to reverse. The first sublist we want to reverse is 1, 2, right? So here the first sublist of size 2. For the next sublist of size 2, we're not going to reverse it, but we're going to reverse the next one, right? Same here, 7 and 8, we're not going to reverse. So we end up with, so we're trying to reverse, right? Alternately, right? Sublist of size 2. So the expected result will be, okay, reverse this sublist. That would be 1 to 2, 2.1, right? It is reversed to here, and this sublist will point to the next sublist, which is just going to be the same as above, right? Because we're not reversing this sublist, right? But the next one want to reverse, right? So it will be 6.25, and here will be the new sublist. I'm gonna point the end of previous sublist, right? Which is 4 to new head of current sublist, which is 6, right? So we're done reversing this sublist. So next sublist, not gonna reversing it. Not gonna reverse it. 7, 8, and to normal. So that is how the problems is, right? So for this kind of problem, let's try to run it manually, right? So probably I'm not gonna explain the logic of reversing a sublist anymore, because we've mentioned it in the last couple of videos in this series, right? So assuming that we know how to reverse a sublist, right? So now let's try to iterate, right? Let's try to iterate for every element and see how to solve it, right? So let's remove this. Okay. So let's start with here. So right, the current pointer, I'm gonna use a pointer. Right? So at any given point in time, we must know that what kind of subjects we are at now. For example, currently we are at this subject, which is a subject that we want to reverse it. So assuming that we know that this subject we must reverse it, so we're just gonna use a logic, the same logic, to reverse it as previous videos. So we know how to reverse, right? Okay. So I'm gonna write another thing that's here. So here I will end up with 2.1, right? So we're done with current subjects, right? We successfully reverse it, right? So for this sublist, right, we are at a sublist that when we don't want to reverse it. So for this one, we're just moving the pointer forward, right, without doing any logics. But there's one thing we need to do here is to connect the previous sublist with the current sublist, right? Because we have reversed the previous sublist, so it now has new head and new tail, right? So probably we want to have the new tail of previous sublist, right? New tail of previous sublist is actually 1, which is the old head of previous sublist, right? So before reversing this sublist, we want to save it, right? Save the pointer, save the head, right, of that pointer, and save the head of the sublist, right? So after we reverse it, it will become the end of the sublist. So as we're moving to the next sublist, which is 3 and 4, we already remember 1, right? So we just point this one to, right, point new tail of previous sublist. Next, it will be current because we are 3 now, right? This sublist we're not gonna reverse it, so next will be current, right? Something like that. So we need to save this one, right? Okay, so for this sublist, we're gonna keep iterating, but not do any logic here because. So okay, so we just move ahead, move forward, right? So we're done with this one. So now we have 1 will point to 3.4, right? That's right. Down 3.4. Okay, so now we are at a sublet that we want to reverse. So we just do the reversing logic. Okay. So we successfully reverse it, right? So the current pointer here, but here, right? After reverse this subplace, right? We want to point the new tail of previous subplace, which is 4.6, right? And 6 is equal to 5. Okay. So now we are here, which is a subplace we don't want to reverse. Again, we point the tail of previous subplace, which is 5. Point is 7. Right. So now just move forward. 7 still 0.8. We don't modify anything for this subplace. So 8.0. So we're done here, right? Okay. So that's the high level of how we're gonna solve it. So let's get into coding. So for this kind of problem, as you can see, we have to iterate for every node in the linked list, right? So I'm going to use a for loop, right? So as long as the current, I'm going to use a working pointer, which is current, that pointer the current node, right? So as long as current is not null, initially current will point to root, right? Okay. So as we discussed earlier, we need the tail of previous subplace, the new tail of previous subplace. So let new tail of previous subplace is initially 0, initially is null. Okay. So inside here, wanna do in order to have to reverse this subplace, then connect this subplace, somehow connect this subplace to the next subplace, right? So in order to do so, one thing that we can do here is wanna process a group of 4 nodes. Sorry. A group of 4 nodes, right? In this case 2, right? Want to process a subplace, a reverse subplace, right? And its next subplace, right? Want to process it in here. So one iterations of this for loop wanna process I want to process k times 2, right? Notes, right? At max, right? In case we have enough elements, right? So inside here, I'm gonna first use a first for loop, another for loop inside the first for loop. Inside here will process reverse sublist, process sublist to reverse. And down here, I'm gonna process wanna skip, right? Wanna skip, we just move pointer forward without doing anything. Skip next k, next sublist of side k, right? So in order to process exactly k elements, want to use a counter. Let's say I equal to k, right? So as long as k is greater than 0, want to move in here, right? And for each loop, want to decrement k by 1. Same here, reassign k to k, I to k, as long as k is greater than 0, and to move inside, and each iterations decrement k by 1. Okay, so one thing to be careful here is that not only k must be greater than 0, but we only want to jump inside if we have the current, right? The current pointer is not known, right? Only that is okay. We want to move inside. Same here, if the current is not known. Okay, so sorry, here should be k I minus 1, right? Not k. So after reversing this sublist, right? We want to connect, right? We want to connect our previous sublist with next sublist here, right? Connects previous sublist with the next sublist using this one. So probably before jumping into here, we want to save the new tail of previous sublist, right? Of this sublist, the sublist where we process here. So new tail of previous sublist. let's say maybe here it should be new tail of current sublist to be exact. Current sublist, right? Because we have processed this new tail of current sublist. It's a little bit long here, so let's just remove it and we imply that this one is a new tail, right? So tail of current sublist, let's say let tail of current sublist is the current, right? Here is a sublist to reverse. Before reverse it, save the first node as a new tail, right? So after reversing it, wanna connect the previous sublist to next sublist by tail, doing something like tail of current sublist point next is to the current, right? And okay, here is reversing logic. Okay, just here is just move forward, right? So one thing that is missing here is we also want to connect this sublist, not connect the sublet that we process here with its previous, right? So I want to do that by, we have the new tail of previous sublist here, right? Assuming that we know this one, then I'm gonna so for example we are at here for example, so we're here example, right? So here will be the new tail of sublist, right? And here will be the head, the new head of the sublist. So after reversing it, say pointer 5, then the current pointer is here, we are 7, right? So the new head of this sublist is actually the previous pointer, right? The current is here, so previous is here. So we want to, yeah, and to connect current sublist with next sublist, connect previous sublist with current sublist, right? So we're gonna point tail of previous sublist points next to new head of current sublist, which is the previous, right? I forgot to mention here is that we also need a previous pointer, right? So as we iterate through the LinkedList, beside keeping track of the current pointer, but also to keep track of the previous, which is the node that right before the current, right? No, initially no. So tell previous sublist point next to previous, which is a new head of current sublist. The sublist we process here, but for the first, be careful, because for the first iterations, after we reverse the first here, the current is 3 now, right? In this case we don't have a tail of previous sublist, right? So if we're doing something like this, it's gonna lead to a null pointer exception. So we probably want to check, right, if don't have tail current sublist, then it means that it means here is the first sublist, right? And 2 will be the new head of the whole new sublist, right? New head of whole new sublist. So if we don't have a tail current sublist, mean we're at the first sublist the process. So new head of first sublist will be the new head of the whole sublist. It means pref. I'm gonna reassign root to pref, right? Otherwise, we're gonna point the tail of previous sublist to new head of current sublist. Okay. One thing that is missing here is that we need to reassign the tail of previous sublist, right? So for the first sublist, we don't have the tail of previous sublist, right? So for 3, so after we're skipping these 2, right? These 2, and after processing these 2 sublists, right? Wanna reassign, mean before jumping into the next sublist to reverse, gonna reassign this one as a tail of previous sublist, right? So here, after process this sublist, I'm gonna point the tail of previous sublist. Now is graph, right? So for example, after process this for these 2 sublists, the current is here, so here will be the breadth, right? New tail of previous sublist is breadth, right? So we come back here, and now as we process this Let's reverse this sublist, right? We again after reverse it, when point the tail of previous sublist, which is something we reassign here, right, to the new head of current sublist, which is here. Right. So what's left here is just fill out the reversing logics and move forward logic. This one is pretty easy, right? So so for move forward, so before to move forward, I want to save the previous. I want to point the previous to current, right? Before moving the current pointer to the next node, right? Here. Okay. Email as long as I is written. Okay. So for reversing logic, so reversing logics, I'll go at each iterations here to point current node to its previous, right? So I want to do something like next, right? I want to point to previous, but by doing this, we lose the we lose track of how to go to the next one, right? So before doing this one, I wanna save the current next. Okay. I'm gonna point the current to previous, right? So after point the current to previous, I'm gonna start before starting a new iterations, I must move the current to the next node that I have saved here, right? Cur next, right? Okay. But before doing this, again, we need to save the previous, right? Must point previous current and current to current next, right? Okay. So let's run it. So I have to exit the loop here. And return the root, right? The root is assigned here, new root here. So here we want to return the new root. So let's run the test. Just sick and for hopefully it will work. Oops. Here is no. Oh, here should be the previous sublist, not the current sublist. Oh, previous sublist. Still fail. Okay, let's double check again. Tail next to current. Okay, that's correct. Reversing logic. I save the next current, right? Point current to previous. So before jumping current to the next one, I want to save the pref as current. Okay. Okay, this one is wrong. Okay, it works now. So sorry for silly mistakes. And thanks for watching. And see you in the next video.